So, dear brother and sister, we can slowly come back to our place for the Dharma talk. It is wonderful that we just don't need the Dharma talk. The energy already so beautiful.
Also, liebe Gemeinschaft, wir können dann langsam zurückkommen zu unseren Plätzen.
Perhaps we sing a song while everyone is coming back, so that you can gather the energy again. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as a dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am water reflecting what is real, what is true. And I feel there is basis deep inside of me. I am free, I am free, I am free. Brother Kirtan, would you like to hop with the German?
Ich atme ein,
ich atme aus. Ich atme ein, ich atme aus.
Und ich blühe wie die Blume. Ich bin frisch wie der Tau. Ruhig und stark wie die Berge, wie die Erde so fest. Ich bin frei. Ich atme ein, ich atme aus. Ich atme ein, ich atme aus. Ich bin Wasser, das spiegelt, was wirklich ist und war. Und ganz tief in meinem Innern, da ist weiter Raum. Ich bin frei, ich bin frei, ich bin frei.
Now in Vietnamese, yeah? If you know Vietnamese, please come in. Thở vào, thở ra là hoa tươi mát, là núi vững vàng, nước tình lặng chiếu không gian thanh thang. Quay về nương tựa hải đảo tự thân, chánh niệm là bụt soi sáng xa gần. Hơi thở là pháp bảo hộ thân tâm. Năm uẩn là tăng phối hợp tinh cần, thở vào thở ra là hoa tươi mát, là núi vững vàng, nước tình lặng chiếu không gian thanh thang. So now we listen to three sound of the bell to begin our Dharma talk. So dear respected Thầy, dear respected brother and sister in the community, welcome to our Vesak celebration. Thank you very much for coming. There are many special friends who come to our celebration today. Thank you very much for making the time to come and to be with us. There are father from the church, there are dear friend from our bakery, there are our lawyer, and there are many other friends. And if Thầy is here today, he will be very happy. Yeah, he will be very happy. When he started this institute in 2006, the idea came to him, well, many years before. He wanted to create an institute in Plum Village. And he asked me to set up that institute, but I thought that it would not be possible because Plum Village already have the tradition of a practice center. So it's very difficult to turn Plum Village into an institute with course every weekend. So they asked me to do it in 2002, 2003. But then it would not realizable in Plum Village. So 2006, they had the idea that to create a center called European Institute of Applied Buddhism here in Germany. He chose Germany because there are many other countries around Germany, like Belgium, like Holland, like Austria, and then Switzerland and Poland, and many countries can come to Germany. So it's a great vision. This is our 15 years celebrating the Buddha's birthday, and slowly our institute is growing in time. And this institute is actually a part of Thay's Bodhisattva vow. It is a fruit of his Bodhisattva vow. Bodhisattva vow. Bodhisattva vow. In Buddhism we call it vow, or you can call it aspiration, or commitment or motivation. And when Thầy was young, when he was still a novice, when he was novice in central Vietnam, he came into the temple when he was 16 years old, and about 2 or 3 years, 2 years later or so, then there's Japanese occupation, and the Japanese take the rice, the plant, to use for their train, locomotive. So they burn the rice as a fuel for their locomotive. So there are millions of people in Vietnam who was dying because of hunger. And Thầy see people bringing dead body every day away with skinny hand, skinny leg because of hunger. And then the war of French, with the French colonization. And when he was a novice, among all of those suffering, he had one day, one night, he wrote in his diary, his memoir, that day, that night, he saw the moonlight in the front of the root temple. The moonlight was so beautiful. And in touch with all of the suffering around, suddenly being in touch with this beauty of the cosmos, this wonderful energy of the cosmos, but at the same time, with this background of suffering, suddenly they had this extreme, strong aspiration that he write it by pencil on the column of the root temple, of the main hall, the Buddha hall of the root temple. He said in Sino-Vietnamese, chúng sanh vô biên thể nguyện độ. Unlimited living being, I vow to bring them to the soul of liberation. I vow to liberate them from all their suffering. And he lived up to that aspiration since he was a novice. 16, 17 years until he passed away in 2021. And throughout his life, he allowed this energy of compassion to blossom. He would try all means to help people to transform their suffering and to pass on this energy of compassion, this energy of love. This energy of love, this energy of compassion is the energy of the Buddha. Today when you go to the our stupa area in the Buddha garden, you might see a baby Buddha with a little sign like this. When you look at this sign, you will be very surprised because this sign was it's a swastika. It's the sign that was used during the Nazi time, the national, the Nazi time. And people might think that Buddhism take this side from Nazi, but it's the other way around. The Nazi took this side from Buddhism, but actually it is a very ancient sign from the Indian culture. What does it mean by this sign? What does it mean by this sign? This sign represents the wheel. It's the wheel turning. It's the wheel that turning. And this wheel here was put in the middle of the Buddha, right at the heart center, right in the middle. If you look at the old Buddha statue, you will see this. Nowadays, because of the Second World War, many artists now avoid this, having this sign on the Buddha chest. But all of the old Buddha statue in Vietnam or China or Korea or Japan, they have this sign on the Buddha chest, right on the Buddha chest. This is very meaningful because many times we have the tendency to think that the Buddha is turning the Dharma wheel by his teaching, by his logic, by his philosophical idea, and so on. Many times we thought like that. The Buddha offered the world a very good philosophy, offered the world with a very good psychological system. All of his teaching in different areas. But looking at the old statue, very ancient statue, then we see that there's this sign of swastika, the wheel, the sign of the wheel on the Buddha heart center. That is the most important thing. The teaching of the Buddha turn a wheel. That Dharma wheel is the wheel of compassion. And this wheel of compassion is needed in this time in the world so much. Either in our family, or in community, or in our society, or in our nation, or our whole international arena. We cannot have compassion for each other. We cannot have compassion for each other. We cannot talk to each other. We cannot listen to each other, and we cannot accept each other. The situation is getting very bad. To celebrate the Buddha birthday today is to remind ourselves the main message of the Buddha. The main teaching of the Buddha, the key teaching of Buddha is to be able to turn the wheel of compassion in our heart. This energy of compassion is what connects us, all of us. And that's what makes the whole universe develop and offering life in this universe. In the meditation, I invite everyone to practice so that we can visualize that underneath our body there are infinite roots extended into the universe. So the energy sink down and take root in the whole universe. So this is the energy level. The energy level. This is the first practice that we need to do. We must be able to sink our energy down. Many times our energy is up here. Our energy up here. We are thinking too much. We look at the world through our critical eyes, our judgment, our evaluation. And our mind is very good at that. Very good at looking at other people's fault, other people's mistake and shortcoming. We are so good at it because it's built within us through the evolution. We have to detect the negativity before the negativity takes us. For example, if you go through a bush and you hear some noise, you cannot assume that there's a Buddha sitting meditation inside the bush. If inside the bush turn out to be a tiger and you assume that is a Buddha, that's too late. you become the tiger lunch or dinner. So you hear the noise, by default, you have to think something very negative, the worst situation. You have to assume the worst scenario so that you can take action as quickly as possible. Yeah. So that is our default. I slow down for Sister Songim translation. So our mind is very good at looking at the fault of the other people, looking at the mistake, looking at something that is going wrong. We are so good at it to detect the thing that is wrong. But it's so difficult for us to detect something that is not wrong, something that is still okay there. So this energy is on our head all the time. From at the evolution time, we are an animal with our 4 limbs. With the evolution, slowly and slowly, we are able to raise our hand up, liberate our 2 hands. We become Homo sapien. We can use our 2 hands to create tools. And with our 2 hands, our brain also develop skill, technique. And Sanh một microphone để Sanh để gần cái này nha. Cảm ơn Sie. This is the bell of mindfulness. In case you don't know it yet, here I set up so that every 15 minutes we have a little break. It's very tiring to listen to me. And it's very tiring to listen to me and to translate. So 15 minutes we have a little break. Come back to our in breath and out breath. Feel our body and relax our body. That is the practice of sinking the energy down. So seeing the evolution time, we are very low in the ground. Then we raise our hand, and with that our head slowly coming up. And we are very successful with this process. We develop satellite, we develop subtle space, we develop mission to Mars, to outer space. It's wonderful. Our mind is incredibly good. The little detail thing, making it so good. And thanks to this wonderful mind, very soon we will build a new meditation hall. Without that, we cannot build a meditation hall. But this process brings the energy up all the time. And this energy come up here, then sooner or later there is this unbalancing of energy in our whole system. Psychologically, we will develop burnout, we will develop depression, we will develop hatred, resistance. All kind of psychosis come from this energy coming up all the time, and we cannot bring it down. The meditation this morning invite you to bring the energy down. Bring it down and return it back to the universe, helping us to recycle back to the universe. We are mainly energy system. We need to bring the energy down, and the Buddha discovered a technique, a very simple technique. Very simple technique. It took him, according to the legend, it took him 6 years to find the way to enlightenment. And when he found it, it's so simple. Many times our mind project outward. Our mind project to the external world. And we are trapped in the consciousness that develop out of these projection. We project our mind onto an object, and we grasp on that object. And from that grasping, we develop perception, we develop feeling, we develop emotion. And then once these come, we believe that it's real. My anger is real. My depression is real. But that is only an accumulation of energy in a unskillful way. The energy has been accumulated. The energy continue to go up, and it begin to accumulate in our brain up here, and it cannot go down. The Buddha find a way to heal our psychology. How does he heal our psychology? He heals our psychology by meditation. We learn to sink the energy down. That is the first thing that we need to learn to do. And if discover a very simple technique, instead of projecting our mind outward, now we just need to project the mind onto ourselves. That's all. He called it the practice of mindfulness. And he have a sutra. If you are interested, you can read the sutra called the Sutra on the establishment of the four establishment of mindfulness. We learn to establish our mindfulness on 4 aspects of our being. We learn to focus on our body, mindfulness of the body in the body, mindfulness of the feeling in the feeling, mindfulness of the emotion in the emotion, mindfulness of the perception in the perception. What does it mean? It means that we bring the attention back. We shine the energy of attention on ourselves. Once we shine the energy on ourselves, miracle happen. Miracle happen. When we shine the energy onto ourselves, slowly, if we continue this process, then the energy begin to sink down naturally. Why? Because you can only shine the energy on yourself when you feel safe. You feel safe. You feel secure. You are not afraid of the external circumstance anymore. To have meditation, to be able to sit down and meditate like this morning, we practice for 1 hour. That is very luxury. Very luxury. We sit here in the middle of the calm and stillness of this environment, around our friends, so kind, so peaceful, beautiful sunshine with the sound of the bird. It is a paradise. And we have a chance to sit down into the meditation. That is a luxury. In this busy way of life that we are having now in the modern time, our mind is busy all the time. We are worried about the gas price. Sister Songnim worry very much. I have the lucky that I do not take care of the finance. I am only the director, so I directing, but I don't have to take care of the finance. She's the finance minister. She needs to earn the money to pay the gas bill. So that is her job. My job, sinking the energy down. Meditation. Her job is to bring the energy up to find the gas money. Actually, Sister Sangwim is under a lot of stress. A few weeks ago, the gas company sent a bill for January 30,000 euro and February 28,000 euro. We already pay few thousand euro for January and February. It is the extra bill come. The gas company said they will negotiate with the supplier to see whether they can reduce the price. But they said, be prepared. You need to collect the money so that you can pay us in June. So in this modern time, just to sit, relax, and don't worry anything. Even that you have to pay a very high gas bill, no problem. Just relax and allow the energy to sink down. Let your mind be free. That is a great luxury. So this morning in the meditation, mainly I offer you the teaching from the Buddha, learning to sink the energy down. We come back to our in-breath and out-breath. We feel our body, we relax our body, and we sink the energy down to our low abdomen. And we continue this sinking energy down. It's very simple, but gently focus our mind on our low abdomen. And just allow our body to relax, allow our mind to relax, allow energy to sink down. Even the practice is very simple, but it is very difficult. Why? Because this habit energy of going up into our head and going up further and further into the cosmos is something that is within us for millions of years. There is this evolutionary force that forces us to go up here. To practice the meditation is to reverse this process. So that's why you see the symbol of the wheel of the Buddha is in this direction, counterclockwise. If you look at the swastika sign on the Buddha's chest, it goes in this direction. That means the wheel rotates this way. That is the reverse direction. Going against the stream. According to the legend, the day before the Buddha get enlightenment, he walked onto a stream. He hold a bowl and he have a prayer. He said that, I will put this bowl onto this stream. And if this bowl go against the stream, then I will have enlightenment soon. So he had this prayer and he put the bowl onto the river. Amazingly, the miracle happened. the boat go against the stream. Beautiful story, isn't it? This river flow down. It's the river that had been flowing on for millions of years, billions of years. It's the natural flow of energy. When we practice, we are going against this energy. People are very busy nowadays. To ask friends to slow down, to enjoy walking meditation. Breathing in, I make 1 or 2 steps. Breathing out, I make 1 or 2 steps. It's so simple, but we cannot do it. There is this force behind us, pushing us unconsciously, faster, faster. Why are you so slow? Faster, faster. There's this force pushing us. We cannot slow down. Later on, we will have a ceremony. And Brother Trời Khiết Tâm, an Austrian brother, we are very happy that this year we have 3 brothers. Brother Trời Đạo Quang, a German brother, Brother Trời Khiết Lâm, and Brother Trời Khiết Tâm from Austria. We are very happy to receive the 3 German-speaking brothers here in our institute. We've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Now it's happening. The brother had been trained in Plum Village for 5 or 6 years, I think, right? Yeah. And then the brother now come here to help out the institute. So this force behind it is so strong, forcing us. And during the ceremony today, we will have a procession. We will walk in and Thầy Trời Khiết Tâm will hold the little bell. And he will invite 1 bell, then he make 3 steps. Langsam und Ruhe, in Ruhe, in Ruhe. So he will invite 1 sound of the bell and he walk 1, 2, 3. Just enjoy the step, enjoy the breathing, and another bell. And he make 1, 2, 3. And the whole Sangha will follow him. He's the leader today. He's the one who tried to hold it back. Holding our energy or pushing forward. He has to be very strong. Because behind him is several hundred people with this impulse of going forward. Today, this year, celebration of the Buddha's birthday is a very special occasion because our venerable Vietnamese monk, they just finished the very special translation of the Chinese Tripitaka into Vietnamese. There was translation before from Chinese into Vietnamese, but this edition is well based on scholarship, modern scholarship, as well as great editing work from different scholars of Vietnam. And we receive a copy of this Vietnamese Tripitaka, a part of the Tripitaka, not complete. The complete is about 200 volumes. But the Venerable only helped to translate about 29 volumes. So there's still 170 volumes to go. But it's a great achievement. So today we have this ceremony to receive and more or less like to honorably receive this Vietnamese Tripitaka. And it's very nice because Thầy, our teacher, bring the Vietnamese Buddhism to the West, and he bring the Vietnamese Buddhism to Germany. And this year we have three brothers, two German brothers and one Austrian brother, and then a Dutch brother, Thầy Pháp Xã, who been here a long time. That this year the three brothers came. The brother came in March, and one brother came last year. So we have four brothers. Dutch brother, Thầy Pháp Xã, Thầy Trời Đạo Quang, Thầy Trời Khiết Tâm, and Thầy Trời Khiết Lâm. Four brothers. And now we receive the Vietnamese Tripitaka. Wonderful. Why? Because four brothers make up a Sangha. In the Buddhist tradition, four monks will make up a Sangha. So here in Europe, we have four brothers. One brother from Holland, one brother from Austria, and two brothers from Germany. So the vision of Thầy, the European Institute of Applied Buddhism, is slowly being realized. So today is very significant. We have four brothers carry the Vietnamese Tripitaka here into the altar. It will be very wonderful occasion. Yes. Very happy news for Germany as well as European country. And we hope that the brother will continue on, and they will hope to establish the Sangha here with many students. And the Vietnamese brother and sister, we are like the bridge. Just like in the past, the Indian master who came to China, they transmit the teaching, but it's the Chinese monastic, the Chinese monk and nun, who hope to carry forward and to establish the Chinese Buddhism. So the same thing, the Vietnamese tradition come here to the West, to Germany, and it's the local people, the German monks and nuns, or Holland, Dutch, or Belgium, many other countries will hold hands together to establish something called European Buddhism. It will take shape 100 years, 200 years, or even 1,000 years from now. We cannot imagine how European Buddhism will be. We can only sow the seed, and it's up to the land and to the weather. It will become a beautiful tree, for sure. But we don't know exactly the shape yet. But today is the seed. Well, Thầy already sowed the seed many years, but today we have the ceremony to do that. It's very joyful. And then, today, 11th of June, 2023, is 60 years that Vietnamese Buddhism was in a very difficult time. On the 11th of June 1963, Venerable Thích Quảng Đức, you can see on the altar, Venerable Thích Quảng Đức was the first one who immolated himself to call for the attention from the West, because there are Vietnamese who went to USA and they are trained with the church, and they came back to Vietnam and they want to remove Buddhism completely from Vietnam and to turn Vietnam into a Christian country. And they used tank on this Vesak day. They used the military tank and to crush the shrine people, the altar. In Huế, in central Vietnam, it is a tradition for for thousands of years that on the Vesak day, people will put a little altar in the front of their house and they pray to the Buddha. And that day, this government, they use military tank. They go to each of the house and they crush down the table altar. And among these violent acts, they kill a number of children who are Buddhist children. And they also oppress the monks and the nuns. So it happened for some time. And then 1963, 5 days after the Vesak celebration, in the lunar calendar, it was the 20th of April, in the years of the cat, Quý Mão. So the 20th of April, the years of the cat, 1963. This is a lunar calendar. Western calendar is 11th of June, 1963. 5 days after the celebration of the Vesak. Usually in Vietnam, we celebrate the Buddha birthday on the 15th of April, the lunar calendar. So 5 days after the Vesak, Venerable Quảng Đức, the whole congregation, the unified Buddhist church, the Venerable in the unified Buddhist church, they said that the situation is very bad. How can we make the world know about this oppression? And can we do something so that we can get people's attention? So they come up with a plan that someone will immolate himself to burn their body as an offering to the Buddha. And it is a great compassion act. Great compassion act. Many times we think that the monk, when they burn themselves, is an act of depression. But no. Venerable Thích Quảng Đức wrote a letter to the government asking them to stop the act of violence and oppression with a very wonderful expression, a lot of love and compassion in his heart. If you read that letter, you will be moved. And according to the Lotus Sutra, some of our friends study the Lotus Sutra. In the Lotus Sutra, there is this chapter that the Bodhisattva immolate after he attained liberation. One of his vows is that he burned his body in order to support, to help radiate the teaching of the Buddha. So Venerable Thích Quảng Đức, he recited the Lotus Sutra. And the Lotus Sutra, the main teaching of the Lotus Sutra is the energy of compassion. The Lotus Sutra. Here, the compassion is represented by a lotus flower. A lotus flower. It's called the Lotus Flower Sutra. The wonderful Dharma of the Lotus Flower Sutra. And this lotus flower represents the energy of compassion. From the mud, there comes this lotus. From the mud of suffering, there comes this flower of compassion. To practice the Lotus Sutra is to embody the teaching of compassion of the Buddha. To make this wheel turn. To make this wheel turn. So, Venerable Thích Quảng Đức, the whole committee said that we need to do something special to call the attention of the world. And perhaps we have to immolate ourselves just like in the Lotus Sutra. Then the committee asked, who can do that act? And Venerable Thích Quảng Đức said, I can do it. He said, I can do it. He is the one who recited Lotus Sutra for years. For years he been reciting Lotus Sutra. Lotus Sutra is his main practice. He start out practicing other form of meditation, but for the remaining part of his life, the later part of his life, it was the Lotus Sutra that was his key practice. Thầy, when he was a young Dharma teacher living in Vietnam, Thầy, our teacher, he had a chance to live together with Venerable Thích Quảng Đức in his temple, in Venerable Thích Quảng Đức temple. And that time that Thầy was sitting and study and writing, Venerable Thích Quảng Đức will come and express his deep love and compassion for Thầy. And Thầy wrote that in his memoir. And Thầy also wrote that in a book called Lotus in the Sea of Fire. Thầy wrote that book in order to explain to the Western world what does it mean behind the act of self-immolation. Self-immolation is the act that we are free from this body. We have the 5 skandha, that is the 5 accumulation, the physical accumulation or aggregate, the feeling aggregate or accumulation, the perceptual aggregate, the emotional or volitional aggregate, and the consciousness, the aggregate of consciousness. To practice the Lotus Sutra, at the end there are 6 chapters. In this 6th chapter, the first chapter about liberating our body. Chapter 23 is about this Bodhisattva. After he was able to understand and get enlightenment, he would like to honor the Lotus Sutra by burning his whole body into a torch. He go up to the sky, burn his whole body like a torch to uphold the teaching of the Lotus Sutra. What does it mean? It means this body is very important. According to the Buddhist teaching, it's very important because we need this body to practice. But when there come to the point that when we are able to liberate from this body, he was able to, when we are able to enlighten, full enlighten, it's very easy. We can burn this body in the samadhi without any disturbance. And Thầy used a poem of an old poem in the Vietnamese Zen tradition to honor Venerable Thích Quảng Đức. It is in our EIAB magazine 2018. If you are interested, you can read an article I wrote about it in 2018. And the image was there's this stuff, this burning stuff, very hot, burning stuff. And inside this stuff, there is a lotus. And the lotus that grow inside a burning stuff, and the lotus is still fresh and still beautiful. That is the image of the Lotus Sutra. The lotus flower is growing inside a burning stuff, and the lotus flower is still fresh and beautiful. It was written in that poem like that, and they used that line to honor Venerable Thích Quảng Đức. And the committee asked Venerable Thích Quảng Đức, when you leave this body, what do you leave behind for us? What do you leave behind for us as a message of your act of self-immolation? Venerable Thích Quảng Đức said that, well, I will leave things behind for you, and you will know what it means. And you know, amazingly, when he self-immolated himself, he was sitting beautifully in the fire, and after some time, his body just bent down. People took the body to the crematorium or to burn again. And after they burned his whole body, you know what remained behind? A heart. It is the heart that is remained behind. It's amazing. The shape is like this, something like this. You can go to the internet and you see it. It's the heart. From this ash, the Venerable take out, there's this heart. And this heart was brought back to the very big fire, hot fire. At that time, the degree was about 7,000 to 8,000 people is able to produce that degree Celsius, but the heart remained intact. So the Venerable decided that this is the relic, that is the remaining of Venerable Quảng Đức who left it behind. What is the message that he left behind? It's our heart. The energy of the heart is indestructible. The energy of compassion is indestructible. In the midst of suffering, the deep suffering, as if like inside a burning stuff, the lotus flower continue to grow, blossom beautifully, fresh. What is that kind of lotus flower? It is compassion. It is the heart. The heart can withstand all kinds of difficulty. If we are able to open the energy of the heart, then we are in touch with the cosmic energy. The energy of deep love is the energy of the cosmic. In the meditation, I invite you to sink the energy down. To sink the energy down, to return the energy back to the universe. That is the practice of meditation. And then in this process of sinking the energy down, our mind open up. Our mind open up, and it continue to open up like a vast empty sky. That is the true nature of our mind. The true nature of our mind is the nature of true emptiness. What does it mean by true emptiness? That means it doesn't have any core. Many times we are trapped in our psychology. Sadness, anger, depression, jealousy. We are trapped in all of these negative emotions. And we believe that these emotions are very real. We believe that our anger is very real. We believe that our depression, our jealousy are very real. The Buddha called that confusion. We are confused. Why are we confused? Because we are confusing for the unreal thing for the real thing. We believe that that is who we are. Our sadness is what we are. Our anger is what we are. Our desire, our thirst for power, our thirst for controlling. We are confusing. Because all of these psychology, they are only the formation like the cloud underneath the blue sky. The anger comes, it stays for some time, and what happened? The joy comes. And what happened? The sadness comes. Then what happened? Depression comes. Underneath this vast blue sky, different flowers come and go, different come and go. That is our psychology. The Buddha discovered that this psychology, they are only the formation like the cloud. They are not real. We are confused and we believe that is the real things. And then there is even more confusion when we create something called psychotherapy. We have a course on psychotherapy this weekend, so I need to mention the word about it to make people happy. The psychology is not real, and we believe it's something real that we need to fix it. And they call it psychotherapy. You have an illusion and you need to fix an illusion. But it's difficult for us to awaken from these dream, this illusion. It's very difficult. Sometimes we are in the depression. It will take a long time for us to get out. It's not easy to wake up. It will take us a long time to train, to sink the energy down and learn to open our mind up. Open our mind up further and further. I had depression many years ago because of the war in Vietnam. It took me a long time to get out of the depression, so I know how difficult it is. It's very difficult to discover that our depression is an illusion, is a construction of our mind over the year. It is an accumulation of our unknowing. It is an accumulation of our ignorance. What do we ignore about? We ignore about the wounded within us. We don't know how to take care of the wound within us and allow this wound to accumulate into the block. And we believe that block is something real. So this blue sky, we learn to sink the energy down and we open up this vast empty sky. And we discover that the true nature of the mind is, the true nature of our mind is the nature of true emptiness. True emptiness. But it is shining all the time. Shining all the time. That is the true nature of our mind. Our mind has this wonderful quality of shining all the time. It's shining all the time. And it's empty. Our mind is true nature. It doesn't have a core like an onion. An onion, you peel the onion. You build the onion. One layer after another layer. You build, you continue to peel. And inside of the onion, you don't find any core. That is the nature of our mind. Our mind is like the blue empty sky, wonderful, and it's shining all the time. And in between this vast empty sky and this energy that we need to return to the cosmos, at the center is our heart. And that is compassion. Here is the energy of compassion. The energy of compassion is at the center of this vast open sky and the dense energy deep into the cosmos. It is our heart. It is this energy of compassion, this deep energy of compassion, that thing move. And to celebrate the Buddha birthday is to celebrate this source of energy of compassion. The Bodhisattva, the Venerable Thích Quảng Đức, now we call him the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva Quảng Đức, he left behind his heart, his compassionate heart. Our teacher left behind for us this institute is an expression of his compassion, as well as all of his teaching, all of his book, all of his practice center around the world. That's what Thầy left behind, his compassionate heart. And all of the venerable who helped to translate the Chinese Tripitaka into the Vietnamese Tripitaka, they left behind their compassionate heart. Every one of the venerable monks and nuns of the past, they follow the step of the Buddha. What do they pass on to the future generation? They pass on the heart of compassion. And today we celebrate the Buddha's birthday is to celebrate this heart of compassion. When we pour the water on the Buddha to bathe the Buddha, we pour the water of compassion onto this baby Buddha. Baby Buddha is also a baby like all other human beings. When we get in touch with the baby Buddha, the energy of compassion, the energy of love radiates out into our heart. This is a symbolic act, but also it's a practice. And to make it real, today we have a few children in our Sangha. Look at those children and you will see the energy of compassion from your heart pour out very naturally. You want to come and to want to hug that little baby. There is a baby who was in the cradle many years ago from an Italian friend. and you know, whenever the baby come to the plum village, I feel a lot of love and I want to come and want to embrace. So when you see a little baby, the energy of compassion come out. So when we pour the water onto the Buddha today, allow this energy of love, this energy of compassion to pour out to the Buddha. But then also something very interesting. The Buddha also poured the energy of compassion on us. The moment we give is at the same time the moment we receive. The moment we pour out the energy of compassion is the moment that we also receive the energy of compassion. That is the true nature of emptiness. In true emptiness, there is no subject and object. There is no giver and the receiver. They are one single reality. And that's what we practice today. We honor all of the acts of compassion of the past. And we embody this energy of compassion. And we offer this to our future generation, so that this energy of love continue to blossom in this universe. And that is what I would like to share with you today. Receiving the energy of compassion from Thầy, receiving the energy of compassion from Venerable Quảng Đức, receiving the energy of compassion from the Venerable who helped to translate the Vietnamese Tripitaka, receiving the energy of compassion from every member of the Sangha, a kind smile, a small act of offering, a small act of hope, receive them all and pass them all to the future. So happy Vesak celebration.